Okay, guys, you're on camera now, so be careful what you say. Don't say anything mean about the principal. Okay, so with that being said, folks, let's go ahead and look at the contrast between your family and somebody else's family. So we already have chichi, haha, ane, ani. And because these people are older than you, we've got to be respectful of them. So we're going to go ahead and give them another name. Okay, and this is for somebody else's family. Okay, so for your own family, you can say chichi, haha, ane, and ani for the people older than you. But for somebody else's family, it is otou-san. Notice that sang is already there. You can't just say otou, even though some people do kind of slangy. Oka-san. So ane becomes one-san. And ani becomes oni-san. Okay? So chichi, haha, ane, and ani. Ani, haha, chichi, ne. So otou-san. Notice that you got this lengthened character for each. Oka-san, one-san, oni-san. Ne? これをよくね、people will use these also for if you encounter someone who is 20 to 20, maybe 30 or something, and it depends on your age really, but if you don't know their name and you're just talking to them, so say, like if you're a guy at a bar and you see some girl who's like kind of your age or in your 20s, you might call her one-san. Like, one-san, nani nomu? So you want something to drink, young lady? And so people use the family terms for other people, for people they don't even know, appropriate to the age. Okay? Usually people who are very young, like kids, they'll say something like boku wa, like what do you want, boku? And so boku is of course me for a young kid. So they'll use that. But say for example, some woman who's in her 30s and 40s, they might use oba-san, which means aunt, provided you're younger. For someone who's very old, like in her 50s or 60s or 70s, you might use oba-san. So oba-san wa, right? And that's grandma. So literally you're kind of saying grandma to someone you don't know, but they're the same age. So they use these family-centric names for people that you don't know. Once you learn their names, then you're going to start calling them like Tanaka-san, right? Okay? Yeah, I'm going to. So then going to the words that we haven't learned in the previous chapter is oji-san, with oji-san, and oba-san with oba-san. Okay, and oji-san is grandpa. Oji-san is uncle. Okay? This makes it easy to remember the next two, which are oba-san, which is grandma. So what do you think oba-san is? Aunt, right? this is why these lengthened pronunciations are so important. Oji-san means grandfather. Oji-san means uncle. Oba-san means grandma. Oba-san means aunt. Right? And then, suffice to say, the last two that we learned, ototo and imoto, if you're talking about somebody else's, you're just going to use san. Right? Because you're talking about somebody else's younger brother or younger sister. You don't have to worry too much about politeness in that case. So you just say, ototo-san, imoto-san. All right? So I love the kind of World War II dynamic they got with that picture there. Let's go ahead and say these together. Ready? Otou-san, Okaa-san, Oji-san, Oba-san, Oni-san, One-san. Now the reason I'm stopping there is that in Japanese, you can call your own father, in fact you're basically going to call your own father otou-san because it's polite. You're going to call your own mother directly okaa-san because it's polite. But when you're referring to them into a third person, you go ahead and say chichi and haha. The same extends for oji-san, oba-san, oni-san, and one-san. You'll never in anime hear like a younger girl call her older sister ane, ane. You always hear her say one-san because the girl is younger in age and thus like at a lower respect level. Okay? But if she's referring to her older sister to another person, she'll say ane, right? Now, otou-san and imoto-san, you probably are, again, this is family, so in this case, you're probably going to call them by their actual name, like Hideki or Sachiko or whatever, right? You're not going to call them like imoto, imoto, right? Ototo. You're probably just going to call them by their first name. Any questions about this? Any questions from the peanut gallery? Now, I want to try to complete this by the time we get to lunch. We've got about 15 minutes left. But we do have to talk about the word to. And this is extremely important. This word to, go ahead and write this in your notes. The word to links nouns only. Okay? And it can mean and, or it can mean with. Okay? So you could say, otou-san to okaa-san ga imasu. There is a mother and a father, or I have a mother and a father. Right? So it serves as and. Or you could say, tomodachi to eiga o mini ikimasu. Which means I went to see the movies with my friend. Tomodachi to, right? Tomodachi to eiga o mini ikimashita. I went to go see a movie with my friend. Okay, so to, this symbol, it's not pronounced different like a lot of the other markers. In between nouns means and. Okay? Means and. And you saw that up here when Ken-san, or Mr. Fields, said they asked the family, there's 4人です, right? Chichi to, haha to, ane to, boku desu. Father and mother and sister and me. Okay? With kazoku, you want to make it polite, so we always say gokazoku, just because okazoku is kind of hard to say. Gokazoku means a polite way of saying your family. And you'll hear this with like ocha or gohan or gokazoku or, right? And then same thing with namae. So onamae, your name. I don't know if I don't think I taught you this, but namae was shown up here. Okay, namae, name. When you refer to your own name, it's namae. When you refer to somebody else's name, it's onamae. Okay? And so how can you ask for someone's name? Onamae wa nan desu ka? What's your name? Onamae wa nan desu ka? It's a very common way of saying name. Okay, and they kind of gave this, I don't know why they gave this one ahead of time, but soshite means and then. So make sure you write that down. Soshite means and then. It's used at the beginning of a sentence. You'll hear me use it a lot when I'm speaking. I'll say A, B, 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 B. Soshite, C, 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 right? And that means and then. It's not the same as to, okay? To just links nouns. Soshite links ideas or clauses or phrases. It's kind of like conjunction junction. Okay, and then the final one is itoko, which means cousin. Itoko. Any questions about this? All right, so this week we do not have a hiragana set. When we get back, we're going to do a quick review of hiragana, maybe do a Kahoot or something, and just make sure that you get your hiragana. And then over Wednesday, you're going to have an assignment for writing about somebody else's family tree. So you're going to have to contact someone through email or something like that, or talk about somebody on your block, whatever.